much more aggressively than they did in the past. There has been a poll taken amongst local government senior managers, and most of the senior managers told, this is in 2018, most of the senior managers told that they have to rely on financial markets much more, so they have to borrow and they will have to privatize further some of the services. I want to highlight four consequences. There are lots more to talk about, but I have very limited time. But four essential consequences of the cuts of welfare, local governments' budgets. One of them is that the welfare system in the UK, in England, has become a lot more precarious and a lot more punitive. So the beneficiaries are being sanctioned on a regular basis if they miss an appointment with reviews with assessment officers. The beneficiaries their case have to be reviewed every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. They have some appointment in some part of the local government and prove that they are still entitled. And if they miss an appointment, if there is a miscommunication, if they immediately face sanctions. Their benefits are cut, and for a couple of weeks, until they prove their circumstances, they will be practically destitute, really, without any funds, any support to maintain their livelihoods. Housing evictions have increased. Indebtedness for essential needs have increased amongst some of the most vulnerable low-income population. Because when households are sanctioned, when their welfare benefits are cut, they have no means to pay their rent, they have no means to pay for food, they have no means to pay for their essential needs, and what they do is either resort to non-payment of electricity or water or rents, or buy on credit card. So indebtedness is now a major problem amongst the low-income households. And food banks, of course, are now catering those people who have been sanctioned for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They have to rely on food banks to survive on the edges. And the figures here is before the crisis, 2008, 2009, the food banks, one of the major food banks, biggest food bank, distributed around 28,000 food parcels. This figure in 2017-18 has gone up to 1.4 million food parcels. So that's the extent. I mean, if big society has operated, that's an indication that food banks have sort of flourished and tried to contain the effects of the austerity on the most vulnerable parts of the society. That's about it.
Now, our second speaker, Dr. David from
the University of Milano.
That's better because it's your own university, so that I won't make any mistake in pronouncing it.
Thank you very much. Do you listen? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much to the municipality of Kadıköy for inviting me, and to the staff that is taking care of us in a very lovely way these days, and to the public, of course, for coming today to listen what we have to say. So my presentation is about the case of the model of organization of social services and social assistance in the city of Milan. So I have an outline of my presentation, so I will present very briefly the system model of social assistance in Italy, how is it governed by the different level of government, then some few information about the city of Milan, and then how the system has changed over time, the origins, the afterwar period, the era or the age of the right, and then I will focus on what is going on in these years. So, listening the presentation of this morning and the presentation of my colleague now, I would say that the model of social assistance in Italy is much more similar to Turkey than to UK for various reasons regarding both the foundation, the cultural, if you want, foundation of social assistance and the model of government and governance of the system. The social assistance in Italy is the weakest component of the welfare state in the country. Very scarce political attention in the history of the country. You can see the first law was approved in 1891, and the second law that reformed the previous one was approved only in 2000. So more than 100 years after the first one, just to give an idea of the political relevance of the sector. The social protection in Italy is based on family support, first of all, and mainly on social insurance. So social assistance is, the less important part of social protection in the country. The development has not followed a comprehensive idea, an organized idea of social assistance. We had a lot of small laws regulating single part of social assistance without a general framework. We do not have a clear definition of what social assistance is, and as I will show later, firstly in the 70s and then with the constitutional reform of 2001, the competences on social assistance were delegated to the municipalities. So now we have a very different and very differentiated system in the country. We have some figures about this social expenditure. This is the total social expenditure in a selected number of European countries. I included also Turkey, not so much for the level of the expenditure. As you can see, Italy is in the middle of this country in terms of per capita expenditure, but if we look, not so much to this one, but to this one, we see that pensions, the yellow bar, is the most important part of the expenditure, similar to what happened in Turkey, while the gray bar, which is housing policies, family policies, anti-poverty policies, is the smallest part of the expenditure. So from this point of view, Italy is more similar to Turkey than to the other continental, European countries. I think that this is interesting because the foundation, the cultural, if you want, foundation of social assistance in Italy probably are more similar to what happened in Turkey than in France, in Germany, or in the UK. I can't go deeper on this point. As I was saying before, in 2001 we had the constitutional reform that changed many things, including the relations between levels of government. We have mainly three levels: the state, of course, the regions, and the local, the municipalities. So they changed the relation, the competences between these three levels, and social assistance is what we call in Italian materia legislazione esclusiva of the municipalities, which means that the municipality is completely autonomous in organizing social assistance, with very few exceptions. We have here. So these slides show the model. We have very few exceptions. Here we have exceptions. For elderly and disabled, there are a sort of minimum services that municipalities have to deliver to these categories. Elderly, disabled, children, and in 2018 was introduced this new basic income that we call reddito di inclusione, which means inclusive income, we can call this way, which is the first case of universal benefit for people in poverty in our country. Universal means that all the people that fall below a given threshold will receive income integration. The monetary benefit ranges between 187 euros per month in the case of a single to 540 euros for a family with 6 or more members. And they also receive services to tackle, if you want, the reasons of their disadvantage, like vocational training, health care, and all these kind of things. This benefit is financed by the state, is regulated by national law, but is administered and implemented by the municipalities. So the services of the municipalities take care of their citizens using the funds distributed by the national state. So we have a governance based on 3 levels. Is a case, maybe, I'm not sure, maybe Yurika of tomorrow will explain better at this point. It's a case of multi-level governance, I'm not sure about maybe. We have the national level.